I am not here to gatekeep, and these are the rich girl maxing habits that makes you fuck you money. These are the habits that I've either started to implement myself or have learned from mentors who are multi-millionaires. And these are the things that literally nobody tells you. It changes your entire relationship with money, with your business, and what you are available to receive. Welcome to the Power of Personal Branding and Manifestation podcast. It's me, your host, Malika. Now, listen, I am telling you, there are very distinct and precise things that makes you fuck you money so that you can rich girl max. These habits that actually makes the whole difference. Rich girl maxing, it's about getting smarter with your money and making it so that you are allowing yourself to receive way more. Go on your hot girl walk, go grab your matcha. Let's just dive in. I feel like we've heard this advice 1,000 times, like, oh my God, invest your money, invest your money, invest your money, invest your money back. But this is very different, okay? First one on my list, investing your money where it creates more leverage for you. Okay, what the fuck does this mean? Being able to increase your leverage means that like you are increasing your value, but it's not necessarily tied to your time or how much you're doing or whatnot. Like it's just like increasing your value. So for example, if I think of really nailing down your personal brand, that truly creates a lot of fucking leverage for you, for, you know, people choosing you, like who you attract, like being able to charge more and make more and like all these things and not like chasing your clients. So that like in itself like increase your value. So it's like, what are the stuff that like creates more leverage, right? Like more leverage point for yourself. That is the biggest thing, because I feel like I've always heard so many times like, oh my God, like invest back in your money, invest. And it's like, yes, but I feel like there's a big difference when like you're investing back versus you're investing where you are actually creating very precise leverage point and you keep increasing the same leverage point, and over time you start to have this huge leverage over like your time, over, let's say like your personal brand is so fucking good that now like you have demand on command, or like you can charge actually what you're worth and you don't have client like second guessing or whatnot. Honestly, like I would say that like every time that you do not invest in something that creates more leverage or makes you more money, technically you are losing money. Because if you could, you know, like let's say you spend 5K on something and you know that it creates massive leverage and like you're not seeing the payoff right away, but then from that $5,000 you could technically make like $30,000 in like a year, then it's like, then technically you're losing out on like $25,000, right? One of the biggest things that I can remember as a kid, which like I feel like everyone can relate to, which is like your parents telling you like invest your money, like save your money or something like that. Like although like I agree, okay, like yes, like of course you want to have like something saved up or whatever, like I don't think that it's smart to like have it save in an account where like it's making $1 in 20 years because I literally kid you not, I think like that is how much I have made like keeping like my money in like a savings account. Like I'm not even joking. I don't even think I did like anything. One of the smartest things that you can do is having your money like compound on itself while it's doing nothing, because this is not something that like you're told to do. Investing my money into companies, so like buying shares, and you can like kind of always gauge the risk or whatnot, but like buying shares of like, okay, like you are going to invest a part of that money that's literally doing nothing and instead is going to grow over time. And sure, there is sometimes like risk or whatnot that like the market can go up and down, but over time, like it is actually insane. Once you start to make more money and you start like, you know, growing your money that's like technically doing nothing, you start to see how much like the more that you make, the more that your money starts to make, but it's not even tied anymore to your effort or like your business or whatnot. Like it's just tied to like how much you're putting. And then like the more that you're putting in, the more that you can make. And obviously it depends on like, this is not like professional advice, but like this is one of the things that like, you know, actually blew my fucking mind. Here's the money that I invested in the stock market and everything. This is how much it's going to make in X amount of years. And I was like, what the fuck? And, you know, this is one of the things that I wish I would have known sooner, to keep that money in the long term. So it's kind of like having like a savings account if you want, but you are actually growing your money. And this is the kind of shit that, like, once you start to make bigger amounts of money, it starts to compound very fucking fast. This is literally the simplest way to rich girl max. And it feels like so simple and so stupidly simple that it's like, well, it can't be that simple. It should be more complicated, but it's truly fucking not. Like, it's truly fucking not. It's like, yeah, it's just like being informed on like what you are investing your money in, obviously, but like you're leaving that money like long term, like multiple years. And I know that for me, like I have invested some money. You can do that with the bank, or you can do it by yourself. But like, for example, I have done it with the bank, and it's like, even with the bank, like I've made like money doing literally fucking nothing and just like having that money there. This is so simple, but it's just about like actually doing it. It's not something that like people tell you about, or like, you know, that your parents tell you about. And it's like more like, I don't know, this is the advice that I've received, at least when I was younger, was just like, save your money, right? Yeah. Now, enough about that. I want to bring up the concept that you get what you pay for. And this is very relevant, because whatever someone, you know, will cheapen out on, or, you know, try to like cut the corner or whatnot on, then like you will always have to buy that shit twice. And it will always cost that person more, or like more time, twice as more money, twice as more time, right? And the way that you treat why you buy or how you buy, it will always be mirrored back to you, right? And so if you are the kind of person who knows that like you get what you pay for, and so you always want the best, then you will get mirrored that circle of money back to you. There's only like having better clarity and a better like relationship with your money. Never undervalue yourself, because whenever you undervalue yourself, then you automatically disqualify yourself for the right clients. So what do I mean by that? Okay, so like I said before, okay, let's keep in mind the concept of like you get what you pay for. Okay, so that, let's say that like someone else, a client of yours, have like already adapted that mentality of like they know they get what they pay for, so they're looking for the best, right? And so they will always go for something that like feels on their level, right? And so sometimes we think that like, okay, like if I charge a bit less, then I will feel more accessible, or it will feel like a no-brainer. But sometimes that can disqualify the client that is actually looking for that amount of expertise, or like to pay for that level. And I have the perfect example of this. So someone that I know had a amazing service for multiple years, okay? And they were sometimes getting like the clients that they wanted, sometimes they were not getting the clients that they wanted or whatnot, but it always kind of felt like a bit of a hustle to get clients on board. And the clients that they wanted more of was a client who was already making 100,000 and that like could invest super quickly in their service, okay? And then I started to look at the price point that they had, and I was like, well, this is kind of why it's maybe causing some friction, because the price is almost too low for the level of the person that you're calling in. So like if the price, for example, for a service feels more like beginner friendly, then someone who's making 100,000 is not in their head thinking, I need a service that's beginner friendly. They think in their head, like, I need a service that's really for my level. And if the price feels more beginner friendly, then they will disqualify themselves from the price alone. Okay. And sometimes like I feel like a lot of people think like, oh, but like I'm trying to make this like a no-brainer for my client to say yes to me so that I can make the money, right? But rich girl maxing, it's also about understanding that like what makes it a no-brainer will never be the price point. It will always be that you are the person who feels qualified for them, and the price is just the gateway to get them in. it's just the gateway. And so like it's always the equal exchange of energy and value, right? Like we always want to have the equal exchange of value and energy, because let's say that we have a bar, which is like, this is your exchange of value and energy, and the person that you're calling in is here on the same level, then this works and it makes sense, and like the money can flow in and out like very easily, right? But if you yourself or someone like lowers this exchange of energy, then this person on the other side will either feel like, oh, there's a gap here, so they will not go for it, or on the contrary, it will start to attract people who like don't value as much the value of energy that you provide, because you're lowering it. So like by itself, it's like undervaluing you as a person, undervaluing you and your energy and like your value and like your time. And so it kind of start creating this distortion in like the exchange that you are getting. A value and exchange of energy matters so much more than people think. And like I brought up for this example with this person who was like, oh, but I want my price to be like a no-brainer, but then even though their price was like a no-brainer, they were like, it will cost you the same amount of effort, the same amount of time, and the same amount of things, if not more, if your price was at the actual real value of yourself, of what you provide. And so it's very funny how it works, which is like, sometimes it feels like, oh, but like this will make my life easier. But more often than not, it actually doesn't. It makes it harder. And so the flow of energy, the flow of like making you money, it needs to make sense. It needs to be aligned, and so that it can flow easily to you, in and out, right? Like a circle. Okay. That makes like the biggest difference, because it doesn't just change your relationship with money, but it also changed the way that you perceive yourself. And it then changes who is like attracted in your field of magnetism when it comes to money. Okay, now speaking of magnetism around money, this is the next thing that I want to talk about, which is that the more that you love spending your money, the more that you will love making it. And not only the more that you will love making it, but the more that you will feel safe like holding bigger amounts of money. When we think of like money as a whole, right? Like what is it really? It's like your value, your time, your energy, your impact, right? And so anyone that is kind of like hoarding their money, or like, you know, really like holding on really tight to it, it's also in itself like holding on really tight to like their own value. Right? Like when we think of like holding on tight to something, like it's almost like suffocating the air in it. Like there's no like, there's no flow that's happening whenever you're like really like holding on tight to something, right? And so whenever there is more flow to it, then that means that it feels safer, because it's kind of like you don't need to like feel like this hoarding energy. In correlation to that, I have to say that I don't always believe in like living within your means, not like being stupid about it, but creating intentional pressure. And so what the fuck do I mean by this? It's, you know, not always about looking at a map and being like, okay, what have I done in the past that has worked for me? But sometimes it's asking what forces you to kind of like step the fuck up and actually bring you out of your comfort zone, if you're really being super honest with your money. But it's like creating this good pressure point where you are creating a gap, and then you're like, okay, now that I'm creating this gap, then how am I going to jump to the other side to close that gap? Whenever you're creating these intentional pressure point, like it's so good, because number one, you are making it so that you have control over the pressure point that mirrors the pressure that you get when receiving more money. And then you are making it fun. Like you are making it so that like you are loving that process because you're choosing to do this. And then you get to step up to the plate and receive more money so that you can also spend more money. And then when you receive the money, you love the money. Creating intentional pressure point and loving the way that like you spend your money will reflect on itself on the money coming in for you and the fuck you money that you're making. Next up on the habit list is that whatever makes you feel more expensive and adds to your abundant mindset, it will make it easier for you to sustain that amount of income every single month. When I'm putting my trip on my credit card where I'm making points for travels, then that makes me feel expensive too. The fact that like I get to have clients that like match my personality and like are so freaking nice, like that adds to my abundant mindset of like, oh my God, like I get everything that I want and like I am so magnetic and all of these things, and like really adding and focusing like on these things that like truly create your like abundance mindset. Like, this is one of the biggest thing too that is not talked about enough, is like looking at like where the money comes in and out, almost making a list of like what is currently growing your abundance mindset around money, your relationship around money, and what do you feel is not, where like you're kind of spending your money on that, you're like, ugh, that's annoying, right? And then like how can you switch it around so that you are always curating this abundance mindset so that it always gets easier to like make more money and sustain it. And the next thing that I want to touch on this has to do with your clients. Whenever I remember like my younger self, when I wasn't able to like break past a certain income goal every single month and I felt like I was really plateauing for like so fucking long, the one thing that I can remember is that all of my clients did not always feel like the best match, or like, you know, it did not feel like all of my clients felt like I felt like very abundant and like in this abundance mindset. And I was very focused on like, I remember being like, okay, I need more clients, more clients, more clients, more clients. When what shifted everything, when I broke that plateau and I broke that like always stagnant income and I was able to like start rich girl maxing, okay, was that I didn't focus on like, okay, like how can I get more and more and more, right? It was, how can I make it so that all of the things that are within my realm of like around me, my circle, makes me feel valued. It makes me feel, again, like it makes me feel abundant. It makes me feel like I have more energy, loving every single minute of it, so that like, yes, even though I can get tired, I'm still feeling energized in some way. And finally, whenever you hit a plateau and you want to exponentially grow your fuck you money, the best data point to look at, it's not, okay, like how much more clients can I get, or like, you know, how much things am I doing, or like how much effort am I doing. It's not that, okay? The best data point that you can look at is how much of my clients are actually bringing back that abundance in me. Like how much of my clients are actually making me feel like I'm creating this like abundance mindset, and I'm like very valued, and like I believe that my time is worth more, and like my value is worth more, my brain is worth more. And the next data point has to do with what is currently making it so that, you know, I'm kind of like feeling this gap between how my clients perceive me and how much I believe I'm worth, and how much I want whatever I provide to be worth. And that will give you so much more insight, because most of the time you will see, okay, like maybe it's again the leverage point that we need to increase, your personal brand that needs to be doing more for you. It needs to be like your name or your reputation. It needs to carry you more, or it needs to be like the way that like you are messaging your service, that needs to be like cranked up so that it's actually speaking to what your clients genuinely care about, not just like the surface level, here's my service, or like here's the transformation, but truly like the shit that like they would be willing to do anything to fucking get, because that's literally their deepest desire that like they want so fucking bad. And if only they knew that you would be able to do that, then they would be like, oh my God, okay, I'm sold. Or like they would know like, oh my God, this is the experience that I get. Like, oh my fucking God, I've been looking for someone that would do that like this, but I didn't even know that like this is the experience that I would get for you, right? With like your messaging, your personal brand, like your content, like all of these leverage points that like you get to start to see so that you can rich girl max. I feel like this was like so many golden nuggets, and I'm telling you, like these are the biggest 7 habits that if I would have known this sooner, like damn, like this is truly how you enter your rich girl maxing era, and you get to truly multiply that like fuck you money. Okay, so definitely don't gatekeep this. Okay, share this with someone that you know she also needs to rich girl max, and let her know that you were thinking about her. And now I will meet you back here next week for another fire episode. And so if you are not already subscribed to the podcast, definitely add it to your playlist, and welcome to the community of girlies who wants to be fucking crushing it in their business, in their personal branding, and who just wants to become their biggest own magnet to literally getting every single thing that you already know you are meant for. And so if that sounds for you, then definitely hit the subscribe, hit the follow, and I will meet you back here next week. Thanks so much for tuning in, and don't forget to leave your 5-star rate and review on the podcast. I love to know what you guys think of the episodes, and I will meet you here next week.